What's up, everybody? I'm Scott.
And I'm Jason.
And you are listening to Liquid Carnage. Jason, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing well. I think I would be remiss, though, if let's just get it over with, out of the way. We are releasing on Thursday, July 29th. And July 29th is a very important day to a special friend of ours. A shout out to Dean Kowalska, who will be celebrating his 50th birthday today. So happy birthday, brother.
Happy birthday, brother.
Yes. And on with the show.
Yes, and I would also be remiss to mention that we'd like to tip our hats to the Western Conference NBA champion Phoenix Suns, who did lose in 6 games to the world champion Milwaukee Bucks. Not the ending we'd hoped for, but if we're going to lose to a team, I feel good about it being a team that was built naturally through the draft and with a superstar like Giannis Antetokounmpo, who has a real joy for life, as you can see in every interview he does now. So congratulations to them. I think this is the beginning of a beautiful run for the Suns. We just have to stay healthy and keep pressing forward.
Yeah, and I think that we also learned that while there's some excellent players on the Suns team, there is room for improvement.
Yes.
There's room for growth as a player. I know their main star will grow. He's that kind of talent that he will just get better. The other young player, I don't know.
You don't think Ayton will get better?
I don't know. I'm not quite sure because, part of me doesn't know if he can improve on defense. Because
he's already a solid defender.
Giannis made him look like a little bitch.
Well, hold on. You gotta take.
Dude, I'm telling you, dude. He made him look like a little bitch.
You have to take into consideration the level of fouls that they were calling. If Ayton touched him, Ayton got called for the foul, but Giannis can bull over anybody. NBA was okay with the Bucks winning because it made certified Giannis as the face of the NBA, which is what they needed.
Oh, maybe. Okay. I mean, I will say that I'm very excited that there was the coming out party for Devin Booker. For so long, he's been an amazing player, and no one knew him because of the shitty teams that the Phoenix Suns had. And now everybody knows him. Like, dude, that guy's a stud.
Well, I will tell you right now, my favorite player, Mikal Bridges. 40-year-old man of a favorite player in basketball. It's Mikal Bridges. If you know who he is, look him up. That dude is a modern-day Dan Marley. And that is what this team needs. That comparison to a man that is an Arizona legend.
That's right,
I just hope that he does not run off and marry some model and come back after a wild weekend and have his career go down the shitter like Marley did.
Well, hey, women talk and bullshit walk.
Hey, man. Hey, I'm just saying. Best of
I'm
luck
just saying,
hey,
a good woman, we get a good woman, who knows? We do all kinds of sort of crazy things.
Exactly. The Olympics are in full swing. Janice and I found ourselves watching the first skateboarding medals awarded over the weekend.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, it's interesting. I miss the Olympics. It's fun because it gives you a reason to watch the most random sports. And
I don't know. I haven't watched very much of them so far, so I probably need to. I don't know. I've had other things going on in my life.
Well, it's interesting to me because, like I said, you watch random sports and you can turn it on any hour of the day now because they're on multiple channels and you can find just different events going on. And of course, with COVID going on, Tokyo said no fans. So there are no fans.
Yeah.
They're very limited fans. It's close family and friends and teammates. And I find it interesting to watch some of these because we were talking about it. And I said, it's really expensive to go to the Olympics and to get like the marquee tickets, like the men's basketball in the United States plays, or, the swimming or diving when one of our stud athletes is going for a record number of golds. Those tickets are top dollar. I said the only thing we could be able to afford, and we don't make bad money, but the only thing we could afford is probably like the marathon or the cycling, where you could just stand outside and watch them zoom by and say, yes, that's an Olympian.
What about the archery?
We watched that on Saturday night.
Oh, you did? Okay.
We watched team archery, the United States versus Taiwan, I want to say.
Okay.
We lost. We were the number one ranked team, mixed team archery team in the world, and we lost to the 15th seed.
Oh,
yeah,
that's not good.
Yeah,
that's not good.
We look like dog shit, but you know what? We're a slow start, but if you check out the medal count now, you'll find that America is in fact rolling.
Well, I've been doing a lot of thinking because as you well know, I read books. Well, I read a book. I don't know if I mentioned it on the show or not, or if I mentioned to you, but it's called Passive Income, Aggressive Retirement. Have I told you about this?
I think you've mentioned it. I lose track of all the books you tell us about because I find myself writing them down and putting them on a to-do list.
Okay. Well, this book was basically, it's a young girl, probably in her late 20s, early 30s, who her and her husband have found income streams, passive income streams, to the point where they make about $12,000 a month and they've retired.
Yeah, we talked about it last week. Yeah.
Okay, so I've been trying to like wrap my head around finding ways that I don't have to work, but I still get income.
Mm-hmm.
And there seems like I have to expand my mind because there's so many different ways that people are making income nowadays that it's not a traditional work 40 hours, put your money in a nest egg retirement and then retire in 45 years.
Yeah. No, we literally talked about this last week.
Okay. Did we talk about it in Full Topic?
Yeah.
I don't remember talking about this. See, I'm getting old, dude.
Old. We talked about this. You told the same story. You're looking for ways to get passive income so you can retire a little bit earlier.
Wow. See, I'm getting old, bro. I don't remember even discussing this. I don't even remember discussing this.
Yeah. No, you talked about it because the $12,000 a month is what triggered my memory. Because I'll openly admit, yes, I will yes you through every book you've read, but that one does ring a bell.
Okay. Well, then I will stop talking and just say that. So I haven't been watching the Olympics because I've been trying to find a way to make money.
Yes.
Yes, well, there we go. How's that? We'll just do it that way.
That works. Well, I do hear that there is voiceover work available on the internet for anywhere from $50 to $75 an hour for, reading books and stories and whatnot to people online.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's something worth looking into.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. So
I like that.
The other weekend, not to change topic or change course, but we came home from whatever it is we were doing and decided it was time to watch a movie because it's monsoon season and it's flipping hot. And we turned on this Chris Pratt movie that's on Amazon Prime right now, The Tomorrow Wars.
Okay.
Have you seen that?
I've seen the previews. I haven't gone in and watched it, no.
Well, I am very thankful for the fact that I don't pay for my Prime account because if I would have paid for this movie,
you would have been pissed.
I would have been pissed. It's like Back to the Future meets Aliens meets Starship Troopers, with a little bit of The Office mixed into it.
Gosh,
Parks and Rec, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And it was a hard movie to watch because basically people are coming back from the future to recruit people in the modern world to go fight a war against aliens that they don't know, that nobody knows how they invaded because they showed up one day and just started killing everybody and taking over the world. So the world is on its last legs. It's like 2050 or something like that. And they recruit a science teacher, ex-Marine, to come save the day. And our friend Ralph, who passed last year, would have looked very much forward to this movie until he heard the concept because he hates time travel. And this movie makes me hate time travel too because there's so many holes, so many flaws.
Oh, God, yeah. It's hard to wrap your head around it too, I think. I mean, it's one of those things where you start to go down the rabbit hole. I mean, you talk about rabbit holes, dude. That's a rabbit hole right there.
So it got me thinking. It's like, so if you could go to the future, if someone came back from the future to you and was like, hey, do you want to go to the future because we need your help? We need you to save mankind, or we need you to, create a BOGO at McDonald's or whatever. Do you go for the betterment of mankind to find out how you die, how everybody you love died, and then going back to your normal time knowing that's how it's going to happen? Find a way to change that timeline.
Oh man. Yeah. I am not that person. Um, I think that part of for me, part of the excitement is not being able to go back and change things. Um, I kind of like who I am, so my fear would be like a perfect example, like Back to the Future. He went back, he thought he was going to make things better, and it just made things worse. That's
Yeah.
how I think my life would be. Is that I would go back thinking that I was going to make a decision that would make it better, and I would come back to the regular time and be totally destroyed because the life that I had is gone.
So hypothetically speaking, let me throw
Yes.
this your way.
Okay.
You and I are visiting a local watering hole
Okay.
in Phoenix or here in Kingman,
Okay.
and someone out of the blue comes, out of a craft we don't recognize, out of nowhere, and stops us and gives us the Bill and Ted approach.
Oh.
They need our podcast to save the world. 150 years in the future, 200 years in the future, but we have to go with them
To the future.
to the future.
Oh, okay.
Do we do that? Do you get
I
in?
think
Do we
I
take
think to
liquid
save the
courage 200
world.
years in the future to save
Yeah.
mankind?
I think we have to, Scott. I think we owe it to our listeners, to the executive producer, and to our families.
Well, that's it. And what I say though is this would affect nobody currently alive. This would affect nobody currently alive that would be born for probably the next 50 to 75 years.
Scott, you don't know that. What if in 20 years they come up with cryogenics that people can freeze themselves, and 200 years we could see ourselves at this time cryogenically frozen?
Well, I guess that's the question: is
Ooh.
if we're going to the future to save humanity, are we getting in that time travel capsule?
I am, yes.
Okay, so now you are going to go.
I'm not going back to the past to change things for my
No.
future.
They're
I'm
not
willing
asking
to go into the no. I'm willing to go into the future. Yes,
Okay. But
I'm
at
willing to
what
go into the
cost?
future.
What if in that journey it tells you all the things that you're not supposed to know, or you shouldn't know when you die, when your loved
Oh,
ones pass, how you go, when the Rams finally win a World Series again or a Super Bowl. I'm sorry.
yeah,
It's
yeah, close enough.
yeah.
Well, see, so that leads to the question though: is by me just going into the future and finding that information out, doesn't that change my past? Like when I go back,
Well,
changes, right?
that's the butterfly effect.
Yeah,
How the flap of a butterfly's wings can change the course of mankind.
yeah.
And that's a very good question, because if you knew who was going to win the 2022 Super Bowl this February,
Yes.
would you go right now before as training camp starts and put all your money on that team?
Yes.
And would you do that
Every year for the next 20 years? Hell yes.
Yes. Every major sporting event.
Every year.
So
No, but you know what?
If you had the Almanac, Biff, would you
Yeah,
create a casino?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but here's the thing. It's what I do with the money that's important. I wouldn't be Biff, right? Biff is a jerk off. He's mean. I'd be the good guy, right? I'd be the one that donated to charities and helped unfortunate children in the world. That's who I would be.
Oh,
So
okay.
I'd be doing good with the money. I wouldn't be being Biff.
Is that the line we're going to go with on that?
Yeah, of course. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what would you do? I mean, what wouldn't you use the for good, or do you think that you'd go screw it? I got my money.
Inherently, everyone says they will use their money for good. They will use their success or their learning, whatever they learn from the future, for the betterment of mankind. I'm sure, but ultimately, greed takes over.
Well, and some might argue that even in that situation, like if you have the almanac, you going back alters that future, and those results may not even happen because you were
exactly
in the future. So
exactly, and that's the one thing, and that I think that's what people really forget is if you can affect that future to where the teams you hope are going to win aren't winning. How many times do you keep betting, thinking that your team is going to win, but they don't? because the almanac told you.
Yeah, and maybe part of it too is there a difference between going, 30 years in the future, 200 years in the future, 1,000 years in the future, 10,000 years in the future?
Yeah.
Like, the further do you get away from the present, does that reduce the amount of impact or increase the amount of impact that you're moving to the future has?
Yeah, it's interesting because it's funny then now that you mentioned, like, I've been watching Loki on Disney Plus, and it's a very good show. It deals with time travel just like that. Loki is essentially a variant, and he gets picked up by the time variant people who are in charge of the timeline of everything. Those are not my dogs, Tom, just for the record.
Those are my dogs.
Yeah. But
there's someone playing loud music outside.
Damn
Crazy.
kids.
Sorry about that.
Sorry. But at any rate, though, he gets picked up by the time variant police, essentially, and their job is to prune new timelines that are being formed by people doing things like we're talking about right now. So they would pop into that timeline and basically reset it to prevent anyone from actually going through with said Super Bowl bet or disastrous event to change the course of humanity. So it's a very interesting thought process and theory. It seems to be very popular in pop culture right now.
Wow, there's a guy. I'm sorry, I'm distracted. There's a truck out here who's playing their bass so friggin' loud that they're right outside my front door, and I don't know why they're there, but whatever. Remember that show Quantum Leap?
Yeah,
that's the same thing, right? I mean, the Loki is doing the same thing. He's identifying a problem in the future or in the past, and he goes back to fix it.
Yeah, it's essentially it.
So
it kind of fixes. No, it's a decent premise. Owen Wilson plays a great part in it. He plays the one of the TVA agents, Mobius, and he plays it very Owen Wilson-esque, but it's very good. And goes down some conspiracy theory lines, and same with that Tomorrow Wars thing where the movie's been out for a month now, so I'll go ahead and say it. The premise of the Tomorrow Wars was an alien vessel crashed in Russia thousands of years ago, and because of global warming, we weren't invaded. They thawed out, and that's how they took over the world.
Oh.
So it becomes an allegory for global warming and why and the things that we don't know what's under the ice. So if we don't start making a change, bad things like aliens or viruses can happen.
Oh God! Wow! And then you add in a Parks and Rec theme into that. Wow! Wow, Scott, you find some good movies. So, how did you pick this movie to watch?
Well, they've been blasting all over the internet because it's the newest Chris Pratt action movie.
Oh, okay.
It's a Chris Pratt action movie. Like, it came out on Prime because it didn't come out in the theaters, and it was that or whatever else we were gonna find. The hell, we had Janice's oldest with us. We thought, well, she'd like it, and it scared the crap out of her.
It did?
It wasn't scary, but it's like Independence Day scary at that age, where you see the aliens, like, oh shit, that's kind of scary, but it's not really that bad.
Yeah. So, do you have a bigger fear of going into the past or into the future?
I don't really have a fear of going into the past. Like, what's there, or at least what you've been told is there. And I think maybe I have a bigger fear of going into the past because of revisionist history.
Yeah.
Right. The things that we were told, how they went down and how they're supposed to happen or how they supposedly happened. And you find out that's not really how it went down. I don't know if I like that idea. Sometimes ignorance is bliss.
Yeah. Oh, believe me, ignorance sometimes is very bliss. Sometimes I've always wondered too, like when someone reads someone else's journal, is it better not to read the journal or to read the journal and know what was in there?
Yeah,
I think personally, you know what? Unless you can handle the pain, do not read someone's journal. That's just my one piece of advice.
Yeah, and I go back to the idea that just because you can doesn't mean you should. And if you don't need to read that journal, don't, because you don't really know what's going on in that person's head. And it's like everything else in life right now. There's three sides to every story: your side, their side, the reality in the middle.
Well, and I mean, we all know people like that where you find out something about someone that you had no idea, right? Like
Yeah.
shocked beyond belief. That's what reading a journal is. That's what me going in the past to do history. Like, hey, we're going to do a history lesson this week, kids. We're going to go back to this time and find out about this. And then you come back shell shocked because you realize everything we've been told is a lie.
Yeah, and
Everything we've been told is a lie.
I think that's the other part that makes me nervous because, again, it goes back to the butterfly effect. If you go back to the past and you do one thing randomly just by accident, and it changes the whole course of the future.
Yeah.
Or even just a slight adjustment, that could change everything. And I guess if you go back to the past, do you seek out past you, or do you do everything you can to avoid that area that you're in to make sure that you have no chance of running into yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it seems to me that it makes a difference if you go back to, I don't know, Roman times and see life during Roman times versus you go back to when your parents met.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny that you mentioned things like that, because if you're bored and you want to go down that rabbit hole, take a break from reading whatever health to wealth finance book you're reading this week.
Okay.
You should go onto YouTube, onto the YouTube, and search out time travel conspiracies.
Oh,
and
God.
They have quite a few stories that people talk about, of interdimensional travel and time travel, and some pictures that are allegedly real that make you go, huh, that's weird. And there was one I keep it on in the background while I'm working in the office. And there was one I just happened to watch the other day. And like I said, I listened, but I happened to watch this one. And it was like one of those dance shows from the 80s, where like everybody's dancing and they got people in the crowd, like in the seats behind them, just kind of clapping along and whatnot.
Right.
And there was someone holding what at first glance, just panning by, you would think is one of those old time, like flat cameras. And then, like, just as the camera moves past that person, they pick it up, look at it like they're looking at a screen, and then hold it to the ear like it's a phone.
What? Oh, okay.
And it's one of those, like, if you blink, you miss it, but when you slow it down, like, huh, that's odd.
Yeah.
But just it's like video clips of like things like that, or pictures of people from the 1880s, but there's some random dude in the background or mixed in the crowd, and he's got sunglasses and a hoodie on. It's like, that doesn't seem right. So it's weird things, but it's interesting. Makes you go, huh? Because there's a lot of things to know about in this world, and a lot of things that they're not going to tell us in this world. So you can never completely say no to the possibilities.
So let me ask you this: if the time travel is let's assume for a second that the conspiracy theories are true, right? And there are people that are going back in time, like you said, that are just out of place for whatever the picture is looking at. Would we know the effect of their presence in the past?
And that's an excellent question, because you don't know. And that creates the idea of, are there multiple timelines that exist around us? Are there multiple us's for multiple dimensions?
Well, because let's assume that someone went back 10 years into our past.
Okay.
We're living in the current, right? And if 10 years ago someone went back into our past, I wonder if we would know that they changed our present. How would we even I mean, I wonder if there's like a sixth sense, or do you think one of those deja vu things that happens when someone goes back into the past and then it changes our present and our future without us even knowing it?
And maybe it is a deja vu thing. Maybe that's part of what deja vu is because you're experiencing that just in a different dimension or from a different time period.
Yeah, because I would imagine that if you want to believe in this, or if you say, yeah, it's possible that people are already going back, that means that our present lives would change instantaneously, right? I mean, we wouldn't even know that our life just altered because someone went back into our own past.
Yeah, that's true. In theory, we don't know. It's just our brains are reprogrammed based on the area around us, because the synapses in your brain are always changing, always growing. So your mind is always evolving. So you're not going to pick up on that.
Well, and frankly, that's what we talked about last week was the expansion of the mind. So that part was what our topic was last week. So we must have talked about that same thing. That's more experiences allow you to expand to different realms. They say that our mind is only utilizing what 10%.
Yeah.
And so maybe that's a fail-safe mechanism so that if we were able to use 20 or 30% of our mind, we would be more aware of people actually going into our past, altering things, and us like stepping off onto another life path.
Yeah. I mean, there's all these possibilities, man. It's a trip.
Yeah, that's the only problem with when we talk about time travel that I have a hard time with is you can really go deep into this.
Well, that's the problem. It's like I get down some rabbit holes on these things, and as much as I enjoy it on some levels, there's enough that you can find either that could be true, like, oh shit, I don't want to start thinking this is real. But new information leads to new opinions, and you have to be open to new information.
Obsession about this, I look at it the same way as people who obsess, like who are hypochondriacs, that everything that happens, every cough is a disease. I got to stay away. To me, you can get to that kind of obsession where I can't go into this neighborhood because every single person in that neighborhood is going to hurt me. Like that obsession with things that you can't control. You have no ability to recognize that you have that obsession. I see this kind of stuff the same way. Like you can just preoccupy your mind of, oh my gosh, I've got to constantly worry about someone, going in the future and changing my future, right? Rewriting my future.
Yeah. Right. I mean,
I don't know, buddy.
That'll drive you crazy, pal. So
I know.
I guess that's the question we want to ask everybody today is like, is this stuff you think about? Do you have a theory about time travel? What would you do? Would you go out to the future or would you go to the past? We want to hear from you. Hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, all at Liquid Carnage. If you want to send our EP Tom to the future or the past, let him know. Hit him up at liquid_EP on Instagram and Twitter.
I think that the one thing I do love about the movies or the plays or the books about space travel or time travel is everyone kind of has a basic understanding of just the generics but then they add their little nuances of, well, what if this happened, like this global warming thing, or what if the Back of the Future happened where you have to go save your parents, get your parents to go on the date together. Everyone has a different play on it. So you can dive into the topic and not blow your mind, right? Because it's like, oh, well, that's someone's take on it. That's cool.
Or you could dive into the topic and really blow your mind, and that's the whole other problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't know, man. It's a long way to go, and if you're still listening to us after all that, man, we appreciate it. It's just sometimes you go down these rabbit holes, and don't act like you don't do it too, just in your own ways out there. Everybody has these kind of weird little quirks that they, figure, why don't I research this just to see what it says? Just to see what happens.
Every podcast that we have ever recorded has been the beginning from something that we did either this week or the week before. So every single topic is always relevant because we experienced that and expanded our minds. So you just expanded my mind on space travel or future travel. I'm going to go to the time travel conspiracies on YouTube now.
Yeah, you will appreciate it. Trust me.
Okay. Hey, everyone. Thanks for listening. Once again, we really appreciate you. Happy birthday, Dean. Hope you have a great 50th birthday. That was Scott. I am Jason. And as always, if you never know quite what to say, just have yourself some Liquid Carnage.
Of course you'll have a good birthday. We'll be with him.